It's one thing to build an unstoppable team and another to unite the team members during a track crisis. When a crash happens, NASCAR drivers are open to expressing their pain, but Wallace crossed the line in NASCAR's eyes and sends the wrong signal. From almost taking a life on the track to throwing tantrums at the officials, here's how Bubba Wallace is completely destroying NASCAR. Bubba Wallace has had a pretty good run in NASCAR. The African-American racer became the second black driver to win in the NASCAR Cup Series at the Talladega Superspeedway. Think about winning a cup for the first time in almost 58 races since you became a racer. It was an incredible moment for Bubba Wallace. After the victory, Wallace earned his second victory at Kansas Speedway by emerging first in the number 45 entry. During the race, his contender William Byron was very close, but Wallace was fast enough to swerve. He did so in an impressive fashion and finished on time. Wallace made it again to the top during a race led by Hall of Famer Wendell Scott. Over the years, the 2311 racing driver became a proud winner of 6 Camping World Truck Series wins, making him a big name in the NASCAR Cup Series. Aside from racing, Wallace was also known for being selflessly ready to help get NASCAR to the top. In June 2020, he gained popularity for his activism on racial justice that occurred during the murder of George Floyd. He also expressed his disappointment in the subsequent protest that was staged for the improvement of black lives. Despite his goodwill and selfless service, Bubba Wallace caused a wreck that has got NASCAR fans nagging at him as the man who is all out to destroy NASCAR. The most annoying fact is that Wallace is always reluctant to admit his fault. First, Wallace triggered a big crash with Joey Logano. The 32-year-old was running in third place at the end of the race's first stage when Wallace's car suddenly sent his car flying in the air. The crash caused Ricky Stenhouse Jr. to bump Denny Hamlin, who made contact with the rear Logano's number 22, and that sent Logano spinning. The car went airborne and crashed into the wall. The crash's impact was enormous as it sent other racers' cars into the field, and soon the affected vehicles began to puff out thick white smoke. When Logano spoke about the incident, he said such actions caused by Wallace could cost drivers their lives, and tagged Wallace as the king of the wreck. The Joe Gibbs driver said he was thankful he wasn't hurt. Wallace felt very upset with Logano's statement and came over to Ray to say that his shorts had worsened because of the collision. He said that the top roof of his car was completely ripped off. To further show his fury, Wallace even said that the state of his underwear was better than the roof of the ripped-off car. That was extreme though, because how nice is it to compare your undies to such a situation? Fans will likely think his underwear is always torn, but then again, Wallace sure looks like a driver who isn't afraid of saying his mind. The next crash that got Wallace trending as a destroyer happened when he got into a heated altercation with Hendrick Motorsports racer Kyle Larson at Homestead Miami Speedway in Las Vegas on October 16, 2022. During the race, Kyle Larson, who was in 5th place, raced hard against 6th place competitor Bubba Wallace. As the two cars were coming out of the track turn onto the straightaway on lap 94 of 267, Larson was driving too fast because, like every other driver, he wanted to win so badly. Kyle bumped into Wallace's number 45 car during stage 2 of last week's race, and in turn, Wallace aggressively honked Kyle Larson's car into a wall in a manner some fans and analysts called retaliation. If it was an accident, it would have made more sense. But Wallace was all out and intensely took Kyle Larson out. He used his car as a weapon to retaliate against Kyle, forgetting that a mistake could happen during racing. The force he took out on Larson sent the NASCAR legend spinning into the track field. After the crash, the race ended abruptly, and Wallace got out of his car and walked up to Larson. When he got close, he pulled off his helmet and threw it down, then began to furiously punch Larson. He served him several punches that almost sent Larson sprawling onto the ground, pushing him repeatedly until a NASCAR official came to the rescue. But Larson remained calm even amid the chaos. He was injured and felt there was no need to return the punches. Recalling that something transpired between Kyle Larson and Wallace back in 2020, Larson dropped the N-word during a virtual racing event full of real-life stock car racers. In 48 hours, his sponsors had pushed him out of his ride at Chip Ganassi Racing. Within minutes of saying it, Larson called Wallace and left a distressed voicemail crying. Could this have been a deliberate attack on Larson? Larson tried to turn away from Wallace and several times lifted his arms to block his shoves, but Wallace threw in multiple shots before a NASCAR safety worker separated the two. Amid the chaos, Wallace denied being responsible for the intentional hit. He said his car crashed when the hit happened. Several minutes later, after Wallace confronted Larson to express his anger, Suarez confronted Wallace on pit road about the gesture that was uncalled for, but a heated argument ensued. Wallace was obviously pissed off and wasn't ready to listen to anyone. Everything about this situation was terrible, but it is much worse for Wallace because he is the only black driver in a sport with a long history of being a racist fighter. No one ever expected such an aggressive outburst from him. In a penalty report, NASCAR cited rules that govern the board and penalize drivers who intentionally wreck or spin another car, whether or not the car leaves the competition. According to them, the NASCAR Cup Series race at Las Vegas Speedway had ended for Wallace. Although the crash wasn't entirely his fault, many condemned Wallace's actions on the track. So, after NASCAR investigated the incident, Wallace took to Twitter on Monday evening to post his apology. He said, "I want to apologize to NASCAR and the fans, along with Christopher Bell, Joe Gibbs Racing, and Toyota, for putting them in a situation in the playoffs that they do not deserve. I compete with immense passion, and with passion at times comes frustration. Upon reflecting, I should have represented my partners and core team values better than I did by letting my frustrations follow me outside the car. You live and learn, and I intend to learn from this. My attitude did not align with the core values, rules, and regulations shared by 2311 Racing and our partners, who have played a crucial role in my incredible journey to the top of this great sport. I am sorry for my actions." Wallace may have apologized for his ruthless actions, but NASCAR still had their reservations. With the way Wallace retaliated on the racetrack, NASCAR officials felt that was too extreme and could have led to a loss of life. They handed Bubba Wallace a one-race suspension. He missed the Cup Series race at Homestead Miami Speedway because he violated NASCAR's Code of Conduct rule. Luckily for Wallace, he wasn't asked to pay any heavy fines or point penalties. While receiving treatment, Larson also said a few words to show that he wasn't upset with Wallace. "We've had a couple of incidents, and this recent one was nothing compared to those. Also, I've gotten a middle finger from Wallace a couple of times, and I know just how his punches feel. He had a fast car, and for me to get him into the wall was like ending his day. A very hurtful situation. I would have been frustrated as well, but I don't think I would have hooked him down straight away, especially with everything that's been going on here lately with the track injuries. It's hurtful, but it's fine. We all get here sometimes, and I totally understand." But is Bubba Wallace worth it after all the trouble he caused? Wallace is among several NASCAR drivers with Cup, Xfinity, and Camping World victories. These victories, without a doubt, are the most significant moments of his career, even better than his 2 Daytona 500 runner-up finishes. But he's too much trouble. Some fans think that NASCAR is promoting him because of the color of his skin, but they could be wrong. When Wallace was breaking into NASCAR's Truck Series and winning races, he got pulled over once by police and ended up surrounded by plainclothes officers with guns drawn, asking if the sport car was his. The truth is, every racer is overly sensitive about benefits connected to a parent with money, a connection to a sponsor, or being put at the front of the line because of a diversity program. Wallace has always wanted the conversations about his success to focus on his ability to compete at 200 miles per hour rather than the color of his skin, but he's had a weird way of showing it. We hope Wallace learns how to act calmly in difficult situations to avoid adding more pain to an injury.